Hey guys, welcome to the Northwest Geology Guy. My name's Scott, and I'll be your host tonight as we do an earthquake update and a little bit of geology mixed in there. Sorry I'm a little out of breath. I keep running back and forth to my wife because we're first going to be looking at the big earthquakes that have hit Mindanao, the Philippines. My wife's from Luzon, the Big Island in the Philippines, so when I don't know how to pronounce a city or an area, I have to run back out there and ask her how to pronounce it. But I guess we should put a big thanks into my wife. But we had a 6.8 down here a couple days ago. That's flattened buildings and some houses, and that's what I was going to report on. But just as I was finalizing my settings for this, a 6.8 just struck just west of Davao, Mindanao. And as I zoomed in here, let's zoom in a little bit larger here. Mount Apo, or Pao, Pao. It looks like a volcano, and all these are earthquakes are right around the base of the volcano. It may or may not have anything to do with it. I can't bring up any faults in the area. I can only do the U.S. faults. But what I was going to try to talk about is, right off here we have a subduction zone, one of, I think, 2 or 3 that the Philippines have. Let's take a look. There's 1, 2... Yeah, 2 main faults here, subduction zone of the Philippines. That's why you see a lot of quakes up here just north of Luzon, and some down here southeast of Manila, and a lot of quakes down here in Mindanao area. They're just rattled down here, but lately they've had quite a few big quakes. Even the aftershocks, a lot of them are in the 5.0 readings. Yeah, that's really something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at that. It just happened, so I don't think many people have, all 3 have already felt it, but I didn't know how many people in the Philippines would respond to a USGS site to report an earthquake. But since it's on land, there really isn't going to be a tsunami warning. I haven't heard anything yet since it just happened of any damage from it, but I'm sure a 6.8, I'm kind of hoping, since this is up in a mountainous region, that there isn't many people living around it. But it doesn't look like Davao is that far away from the 6.8. Well, wait, let's go back and take a look at it here. There's a way of looking to see how far it was felt. Interactive map. I don't think that's going to show. Darn it! I should have been more prepared. But this, as I said, this just happened. No, they don't have it on. A lot of the times you can zoom into the quake and see how well it was felt. Let's go down here. It's not showing here either. Okay. Well, I'm sure it's felt in a wide area. Excuse me. And let's see if it has a moment tensor down here. No, nothing yet. They may add that later, or they may not. But it was at 22 kilometers deep. It's still considered a shallow quake. But if it's anything like the west coast here where I live, it's a subduction related quake. See, it's not that far off the subduction zone. And the epicenter is on the surface, but where actually the faulting took place, I can almost guarantee it's near the bottom of the crust here, or it's at the very top of the subducting Pacific plate. And let me take you over here. Well, let's go down here as long as we're here. There's been a lot of quaking down here in Indonesia too, but they've gone off the map. But they were in the 5-point region. Okay, we had one here just a couple days ago off the west coast, and it's here. Here's the Cascadia, and here's Washington, Oregon, and California. Oh, wait, that's California, Oregon, and Washington on top. But this one here is not related to the subduction zone, and it was about 10 kilometers. They're always labeled as 10 out here because I don't think they have a way of figuring out the actual depth of them. But that's on the Pacific plate. And a lot of that is pressure coming in from the west here. As the plate expands out, it's pushing, actually northeast, the plate subducting under the North America in a northeastern direction. But people get all freaked out that this is a subduction zone quake. But what we need to worry about are the quakes over on this side, or on the actual subduction zone. Those are the ones that the scientists really get concerned about and keep a close eye on. But going back over here, South America's been relatively quiet. These are very small quakes to what they normally get. It's only a 4.5 and 4.5, 4.6. They're relatively mid-range quakes, but we did have this one down here that was a 5.1. That's kind of on the average, and between 5 and 6 when it gets really active down here. But we really had a lot of quakes along the Solomon Islands here, along the subduction zone over here. But you got to remember, this is all on the Ring of Fire. And surprisingly, New Zealand's been pretty quiet with anything large. Tonga, over the last couple of weeks, has been hit with a lot of quakes in the 5 and 6 range down here. Very common and is subduction zone related. And Australia has been really quiet. But we had a quake over here in Africa. I know you guys are thinking, geez, there are never hear of quakes in Africa. But they actually do have them over here, as it's right in the area of East African Rift Zone, where this section of Africa is slowly starting to break away to an easterly direction away from the continent of Africa. Nothing surprising has happened many, many, many times as the tectonic plates start to break apart and drift away, and over a course of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million years, it'll end up attaching onto somewhere else. Because there's been fossils over here that end up over here or over here. And that's how the theory of continental drift was finally accepted by the scientists. It first was theorized back in 1912, but I can't remember the German scientist that came up with it. But he had no actual proof how it occurred, which now modern day scientists know that it has nothing to do with the tectonic plates. It's down in the upper mantle where the heat from the core comes up and creates a convection, and it's like little spirals spinning away that separates the crust finally, and you get fresh magma coming up, creating new seafloor. And, well, like over here on the subduction zone over here, or the Juan de Fuca plate, that's what happens over here. And this section here is going kind of a northwest, southwest direction, and it's creating new seafloor. Now, over here on the subduction zone, this is some of the oldest crust of the plate, because it's so far away from the seafloor spreading centers that's actually being, will be subducting after the earthquake. After the subduction zone finally ruptures, that will lunge down underneath the North American plate. But this is the subduction zone I know the most. I study this a lot. But right now it's pretty much stuck. And I know they're talking about this tear down in here. It's supposed to be under Southern Oregon. That's 122 miles, I believe, wide. And it's not really stuck there because they're getting different signals from here as they are from the rest of the subduction zone. And by seismic activity, it's telling them that there's a tear in the plate and it's not stuck right in this area here. So let's get back on track with our earthquake updates. There's been some activity up here in Alaska. Let's see what that one is, about 4.6. That's a pretty good quake up there. That's rattled some homes and stuff up there, but it's pretty desolate up there. But Alaska gets thousands of earthquakes a year. But down here more on the Aleutian Trench, the subduction zone, we've had a 5.8. That's a pretty good quake. And 35 kilometers deep. That's down probably in the subducting Pacific plate. Because they tend, what's being subducted is really cold and brittle. It's the oldest plates of the, the oldest part of the plate is what's being subducted. Over here's a 5.4 in Attu, and another one up here at the kind of pinch point. I ain't going to try to pronounce that. I don't know Russian very well, but there was a 5.1. But since we don't have seismographs over here in Russia, we don't know the actual depth. That's why they put 10 kilometers, which is their default depth. A little bit of activity down here, but if you guys remember a year, 2 years ago, the big quakes down in this area here in, see if I can pronounce that, where to go, I had the name there. Chiapas. Don't do Spanish very well either. I have a hard enough time with English some days. But there's been really big quakes over here, really big quakes down here. I believe in this area down here we had 7.9, 8.1, something like that, a really large quake. But a lot of these are just all subduction zone related quakes. I did a lot of research because I was really wondering what are the angles of subduction in the different subduction zone around the world. But man, I can't find it. I mean, I searched for days trying to get that information. I thought that'd be so cool to teach you guys. But as we get down here to the South America subduction zone, see, this is 75.5. That's also a subduction quake, even though it's on land. It's caused by the subducting Nazca plate. It's the Cocos plate down there. Man, I'm tired tonight. And let's open it back up. Like I said, South America's been pretty quiet. You can still see some activity over here between Samoa and Fiji and Tonga. Like I said, Tonga's just been hammered. And that's the only African quake. We have had a few quakes down here, very normal. Had I think a 4.5 over here recently in Iran. And China's had a couple 5-pointers. Yeah, see there's a 5.2 there. But besides the Philippines, we haven't had any large quakes recently. And I can't remember the last time we've had a 7-pointer or greater. And it's even longer since we've had an 8-point quake. But let's hope that that stretch keeps growing, because the larger the quakes means more damage and more deaths. But that's pretty strong. It's showing at least a 6 here, and the different colors here, orange. If you see red over here when you look up a earthquake, that's really severe. They have. I wish it had. Let me see if they have the different ones down here. They show the different colors on there, what they mean. I know I've seen that before on here. Now see, this is showing a 7, and on the original one it was only showing a 6. Okay, this kind of shows, they usually have like the little rings where it goes out where it's been felt. But this whole area here looks like it's been in the zone of either damage or felt. Let's see what this one will do. Absolutely nothing. But yeah, I know. I believe the last I've heard about the 6.6, there was buildings and homes collapsed, and I think it was 8 deaths so far, and they're still missing people. But I will try to get back to you. It may be late because I don't get home till excuse me. I don't get home till like 8 o'clock, and try to hurry and eat something and get ready to go back to bed. But if I find out tomorrow an update on the injured and dead, I will try to update it. I just need to figure out how to create the channel cards that you see on YouTube a lot. I haven't figured that one out yet. But there you go, and I hope you enjoyed the update. Sorry I'm a little befuddled today. That really kind of worried me when I saw that. It's like I almost felt like people had died in this. I don't know why. It just really kind of hit me when I saw that. And usually doesn't do that. I'm not usually too earthquake sensitive. But you guys have a great night. Now don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Hit the icon, the bell, and make sure you get notified of all the new videos coming out. And don't forget to comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. And y'all have a great evening. Thank you. Good night.